Darth Vader, formerly known as the legendary Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, is perhaps the single most influential figure in the modern Skywalker saga, having led to the fall of the Republic and the original Jedi Order, and leading a bloodlusted crusade to hunt down all Jedi survivors for 2 decades under the shadow of the Empire. Vader's reign and the rule of Emperor Palpatine is widely regarded as one of the darkest points in the history of the Star Wars universe, but from an umbrella of darkness came slivers of light. Not only was the man behind the mask a world-renowned Jedi executor, but Anakin Skywalker was also the Jedi Knight who trained Ahsoka Tano, the fan-favorite Togrutan warrior and Rebel Alliance fighter, as well as fathered twins Luke and Leia Skywalker, otherwise known as Leia Organa, who are perhaps some of the most influential figures of this era, following the fall of the Empire and the death of their father and the Emperor. For years, the long-awaited meeting between Jedi Master Luke Skywalker and former apprentice to the Chosen One, Ahsoka Tano, has been an avid wish for many longtime fans who have been left to wonder what such a meeting could entail. The emotional and story weight that such a meeting would hold is one of the ripest wells of content that is yet to be tapped into in all of Star Wars, as Ahsoka could learn that at the end, her master came back from the darkness and died as famed hero Anakin Skywalker, ultimately leaving the chains of Darth Vader behind him. Likewise, Luke could learn much about his father and how he was in real life as a Jedi Knight, learning the tales of the renowned war general and Republic hero that Luke never got to meet. As of now, however, in canonical continuity, the closest the two have come to meeting is forming a mutual acquaintance in Din Djarin the Mandalorian. But is there actually evidence that the two have actually met in canon already? Well, stick with us, weary travelers of the galaxy, because there are a few subtle hints that the two have actually met before, as well as explore what this reunion could have held in terms of narrative and character weight. For this video, we will be specifically referring to canon continuity, including but not limited to the live-action franchises such as The Mandalorian and the 3 primary Star Wars trilogies, but also the animated Clone Wars and Rebels content. The primary evidence that we are shown is in the form of Kylo Ren and Rey, and despite how controversial the sequel trilogy might be, learning that there are hints to this long-awaited meeting between the 2 prodigies of the Chosen One is well worth delving into. The evidence comes with the respective fighting styles that both Rey and Ben Solo have been shown to use, and while Rey has little in the way of formal lightsaber training, she seems to exhibit some of the same moves as her adversary Kylo Ren on multiple occasions. Ben Solo quite famously trained under Jedi Master Luke Skywalker for a number of years before his eventual fall to darkness. But one of the most intriguing facets of his fighting style is his iconic backhanded grip, which he uses on a number of occasions and has also been seen being used by Rey in a few instances. This is a move that both seem to have learned from Grandmaster Luke Skywalker, with Rey peering into Kylo Ren's mind. But never in his tenure as a Jedi Knight or Master do we ever see Luke Skywalker use this move or use his lightsaber in such a manner. And while we never see him fight in the sequel trilogy, the entirety of the original trilogy and his iconic fight in Season 2 in the final moments of The Mandalorian all conspicuously lack this iconic stylistic combat choice. As recognizable as this form might be, it is quite rare to find across the tenure of the modern Star Wars saga, with one of the most widely known practitioners of the move being none other than Ahsoka Tano herself. Is it possible that Ahsoka was able to track Luke down at some point between the events of The Mandalorian and the sequel trilogy, as well as able to assist him in the reconstruction of a new Jedi Order? It's important to note that Luke has very little in the way of formal lightsaber combat training, even at the point of The Mandalorian, and while he is an incredibly skilled fighter, he is largely self-taught with minimal guidance or proper exposure to the 7 forms as taught by masters before him. Luke's training has been very much under Darth Vader in the heat of combat, trial by fire, and this is how his lightsaber form was forged. Again though, Luke Skywalker never displays the reverse-handed grip while in active lightsaber combat or combat in general. So why is it that Kylo Ren and Rey both appear to know this move? While it's possible that Ben Solo studied texts as a Jedi learner that went across the various lightsaber forms, it seems very much integrated into his style, As well as important to note that Ben Solo, Kylo Ren's lightsaber form is eerily similar to that of his master, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber form in nearly every other facet, with the two of them utilizing what appears to me to be a rawer version of Djem So, the same form that Anakin Skywalker used. Ahsoka, on the other hand, has been a member of the Jedi Order since childhood and had learned proper lightsaber techniques extensively, even fighting in the Clone Wars for many years, which could have allowed her to pass some of her knowledge and skill to the younger Master Skywalker, wherein he may have learned some of what her preferred techniques were, including the famed backhanded grip, which he later passed on to Rey and Ben Solo. It's also interesting to note how closely their ideologies behind the Force and views of the Jedi relate to one another, and how they could feasibly feed off of one another if they were given ample time together to train new Jedi students, especially as Luke comments about the Jedi in the sequel trilogy is very similar to how Ahsoka speaks about them. It's also important to note that Ahsoka Tano is very much Luke Skywalker's senior. Luke in the sequel trilogy has become disillusioned and viewed the dogmatic ways of the Jedi Order as one of the greatest threats to the galaxy, but this is not a philosophy that has been entirely unheard of throughout the Skywalker saga, though perhaps this is the most extreme instance of this ideology. Qui-Gon Jinn famously believed that the Jedi Order had fallen into much more political roles rather than the servants of the Force that they were meant to be, which alienated him from the rest of the Order as a whole, and left him to follow his path while still technically being a member of the collective. Though Qui-Gon was not alone in this view, as after she was framed for her trial, Padawan Tano also fell into a similar belief stance against the Jedi, ultimately breaking away from the Order as a whole and following her own path that would more closely relate to a Grey Jedi in Legends. Though it should be noted that in canon over at Lucasfilm, the story group has refuted the term of Grey Jedi multiple times. In The Mandalorian, she seems avidly opposed to the Jedi's views, and she refrained from teaching Grogu due to his attachments that he had formed, which could explain her hesitancy to fully join Luke in reforming the Order that ultimately betrayed her so many years ago. This could explain why she didn't stick around to fully play a role in rebuilding the Jedi Order from the ground up, simply reconnecting with the son of her lost master, bonding over his lineage, and teaching Luke some skills and techniques in the process, before wishing him well and wandering along her own path. In the established canon, we know that she traversed the galaxy alone, finding the balance between the light and dark in order to understand the Force as a whole after her exile, with this actually being a major facet of Luke Skywalker's Legends iteration, with Ahsoka Tano actually relating majorly to the Legends depiction of Luke and their respective journeys, far more than canon Luke Skywalker. She had seen the failure of the Jedi Order, and had begun to uncover the harmful dogmatic principles that came with grouping the galaxy into a stark binary of light and dark, good or evil, right or wrong, with no room in between to grow, expand, or change. If these ideologies meshed together between the two estranged Jedi Knights, it could have allowed Luke to formulate his ideals about the Jedi Order in the presence of somebody who provided a positive feedback loop and reaffirmed his ideals while also figuring out how to train the next generation of Jedi to become better than their predecessors. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this theory? Do you think Luke met Ahsoka at some point before the events of the sequel trilogy? And if so, what do you think happened as a result? And do you think that we will ultimately get to see this play out on screen in the Ahsoka Tano series or otherwise? As always, my friends, may the Force be with you, and I hope to see you in the next video.